Welcome to this video where I'm going to teach you how to shift timelines with a five-step process that I've been doing for the last 10 years and helping clients with it for the last 5 years. This five-step formula has completely transformed my life multiple times. It took me from a real rock bottom moment in my life where I was really struggling with trauma. I had complex PTSD from my childhood, was completely miserable, in loads of debt, really unhappy work environment, chasing after a man who wouldn't love me back. And in 6 months, I shifted out of that timeline, got a new job, had a huge pay rise, was in an office where I met my husband, and learned a whole load of skills that would come into my business eventually later on. So that was the very first time that I did it. I also used it to heal from my patterns with men that I was in because I had a really unhealthy relationship with my dad, which I was kind of replicating with men. And in a year, I was able to break out of those patterns and fall in love with the most amazing man, Simon, whom I married years later. And I was 37 when I met him. So I had been in that pattern for such a long time. I didn't feel safe of healthy, emotionally available love. But in a year, I was able to clear that all away and bring in a really healthy partnership. I cleared loads of debt with this five-step process and bought our dream house. I used this five-step process to start a business, so a Instagram page, a podcast, and in 6 months, without any training, I had a number of one-to-one clients, completely sold out, two group programs in 6 months, which is wild. And then in a year of side hustling, I went full time with my business. So I was able to leave the corporate world again using these five steps. Then I used the five steps because I wasn't making very much money when I first started my business because I didn't know what I was doing. And with the five steps, I was able to grow that business to 6 figures. It was incredible. And then I started to realize that, okay, I'm really quite busy. I don't have any time. And I wasn't taking as good care of myself. And I'll tell you a bit more about that story later. Realized I really needed to break out of like, have to work really hard for money and the whole time for money paradigm. Because I was really capping my salary and I was working a hell of a lot. I have been using this five-step process to what I call going for my highest timeline, for my overflow timeline. We are not only just going to go through the five-step process. I am also going to tell you all the things that go wrong at those five-step process that actually stop people from actualizing the result that they desire. That's from my own mistakes and also from working with clients for the last 5 years. I can see when they get stuck. There's a reason why, and we're going to go through those. So you're going to want to get a pen and paper because you found this video for a reason. It is going to unlock a pattern within you that is holding you back from that highest timeline. So you want to get a pen and paper and you want to be really present because your ego will try to stop you from letting that information go in because it would rather you stay where you are, it would rather you stay in survival. You are just meant for so much more than that, okay? So number one is dreaming big. This is setting the vision. No more just being a victim of your life. You are actually going to consciously create your future by deciding, what do I actually really want? What does that actually look like? And I think the place that people really get stuck with this one is that they will often aim way too low. So let me give you an example of what I did. So I kind of came across law of attraction because I was really in love with this guy and I really wanted him to choose me. And basically, that was me aiming very, very low because he didn't treat me very well. He just really wasn't that into me and he didn't really make me very happy. So thankfully, the universe did not give that to me. And it wasn't aligned with my soul, with my higher self. When it's not happening, checking in to be like, is this vision really aligned with what's best for me? Is this the most expansive thing for myself? Or is this actually a trauma pattern? And that's where I feel that people get stuck because actually the vision that they want for their lives is more aligned with trauma and survival than it is with their most expansive soul, higher self version. So you want to really make sure that is the case. And also that when you are imagining that future vision, when you are writing about that future vision, when you are doing any of these things to connect you to that vision, which you should be doing every single day, that you actually feel really lit up by it and so excited about it that you are ready to go. You are ready to sit in the discomfort and you are ready to do the uncomfortable things that require that level of life, okay? This is where people get stuck too because that vision is actually them playing quite small. It doesn't really excite them, so then they don't take those bigger actions. So for me, I've always, every single day, well, most days, I will connect to it, even if it's just for 5 minutes with like a 5 minute instrumental song. I love to use Time by Hans Zimmer, and I will listen to that and I'll really imagine what I'm calling in. And then I will be like, okay, how can I be this person for the day? You really want to be lit up by it. You want it to involve all of your seven senses. And if you are not doing it, if you're not allowing yourself to feel the pleasure of that vision, and it should be very embodied as well. You should be feeling it in your body. It shouldn't be like a fantasy. It shouldn't be something that you put on a pedestal because that's, well, I'm never going to get that. You don't want to do that. You want it to be really feeling good in your body. You'll have limiting beliefs like, is this really possible for me? You will say that to yourself. That's really normal. It's really normal because your old self is still knocking in there. But you can just be open to, I'm going to figure out how to consciously create this. So, straight off the bat, that's what you want to do. And then the second step is you are going to want to break reality by shifting energy. And when I first did this was completely by accident, but this is like the easiest way you can approach this because what I feel like people want to change their reality, but they're not actually not being somebody different. They might be taking a lot of action even, but they're actually being the same person. And that's the problem. So you want to break reality by being somebody completely different. First time I did this, what happened was I was in such a bad place. I'd hit rock bottom. I'd put on some weight and I wasn't happy in my life. And I just had enough of myself. So I remember it was like the new year. Okay, I'm going to do a health plan. And I signed up to a body coach plan with like meal plans and I had workouts. So I just really focused on my physical well-being. I had also previous to this been drinking quite a lot of alcohol, so I wasn't drinking alcohol. I'd completely cut down caffeine. I was really taking care of my hydration. I was moving my body, not just with workouts, but with long walks as well. I was meditating, I was doing visualizations, I was doing affirmations, I was taking care of my emotions, and I was stepping away from like drama and difficult relationships. I just was feeling so much better by taking really, really good care of myself. And that actually was me starting to break reality, really shift the energy because I was physically and emotionally and mentally feeling very, very different. Relationally as well, because I had started to put boundaries in relationships and things like that. That was a complete accident because I just got sick of feeling bad. But what happened after this was that I was able to start to tune into little nudges that I wouldn't have heard if I was getting drunk and not taking care of my body and chasing after people that weren't choosing me. Because I was going slower, I was able to hear like little aha moments. So I'll just be on a walk and it'll be like, you should really quit your job or go for that job, internal job, and then you should quit it. It literally told me to quit my job. So I quit it. I gave him my notice. It was 3 months. I didn't have another job, but it put the pressure on for me to start to really apply for new jobs. When I started to do this, recruiters came to me, and the internal guidance was like, don't go with the recruiter, don't go into one of those jobs, they don't feel right. Apply for your own job. Look, research yourself. So I'd be on LinkedIn and I'd find jobs that felt really different and really exciting. I'd apply for them. And the one that I applied for that felt really expansive, a recruiter wouldn't put me through for it because it was for the media company, which is BBC here in the UK. But it just felt so good. And that job, I got it straight away and it was so good for me. I had the nicest manager. I met my future husband. I also learnt a whole load of skills around change management, which I now use today in my business. And I also learned, about podcasting and media, which I also use in my business. So it was actually a really incredible job. And I didn't really understand how picking that job was going to be so monumental for me. I just trusted the guidance and I just acted on it. And in 6 months, I had that pay rise. I was in a healthier work environment and I was fundamentally near my soulmate and just hadn't quite realized. So once I did this, I got super excited and started to use it in other areas of my life as well. by breaking out of reality in that way. So you really want to focus on how you're taking care of yourself as a priority to shift your reality. And then starting to take your action as that person. I am taking the action as somebody who wants to change her job, who wants a pay rise. So I asked for higher salary and things like that. So that was really aligned with that. But I've used the same process when I quit my job and I went full time in my business. Found out the steps that people were doing. They were marketing, they were selling, they had products and services. And then I would take action in that way. And that would break reality. Quitting a job breaks reality. The next step is the awareness stage. So this is where you are taking brave steps like quitting your job or, starting a business or, breaking up with that guy, whatever the big move is, that's like you shifting your reality. But then you're going to start to notice little voices, little limiting beliefs, fears, anxieties, things not feeling particularly safe. You're going to start to really notice that. And what I would say with that piece is that this is really very, very normal to be like, I'm scared. Everybody thinks that you're not going to be, of course, you're going to be scared because you've been doing life a certain way and now you're going to do it a different way. But what you want to do is just become super aware of what is coming up for you. So you want to just notice. So in your vision that you had feeling into every day, that version of you, how does she feel? Whenever I tune into my current one, she feels so much of unconditional love. She feels peace. She feels joy. She feels very expansive. She's creative. I'm feeling her energy. And what happened was when I first started to do this with, manifesting love, for example, I'd be like, okay, I want to feel loved. And then what happens is through the course of the day, you will see all of the areas in which you don't feel that emotion. And people get freaked out at this stage, but this is actually gold. This is actually it working. Because what's happening now is you've consciously aligned with a vision. And then in your current daily life, you are being shown where your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your focus are not aligned with that version of you. And what you want to be doing is seeing those things because that goes into the next step, which is shedding. What I would love for people to know as well is that this process of becoming aware, having this self-awareness of these patterns and what's coming up, that isn't meant to be an endless fixing yourself thing. So that's where I see people get really stuck with this obsession of fixing themselves because that is actually holding you back. Things do take longer to come into your reality, but actually you could collapse the time on that. So, for example, when I set the intention to fall in love with a healthy man, somebody I could marry one day, straight away, I had all of these limiting beliefs, all of this fear, not feeling worthy of it. I realized as well, I had some patterns of behavior that were really weird. I would go on a date with somebody that was really into me and super available, and I would just be like, oh, gross. But if somebody wasn't, I was so intoxicated by them. It'd be like my life's mission to make them love me. It's really quite confronting to see that. And I did go through therapy and coaching and all these things that were incredibly helpful to help me to become aware of the patterns. This is why when you invest to be in spaces and you can't see your own shit because it's really normal, so you just can't see it, that when you're in a space like that, like therapy or coaching or something like that, you can find those patterns. But actually, if I had just been self-aware enough to be like, oh, okay, I do this and I'm going to stop doing that. I'm literally going to stop doing that. And our body is going to react to that because it's very used to living in that way. So your nervous system is going to kick off when you decide to stop doing an unhealthy behavior, which it feels like it really, really needs. So for me, when I started to back away from unhealthy men, my system was going crazy. And even when I met my husband and we went on a date, my system did not like it. So my nervous system would struggle with that. Even though it's on my vision, I still felt so unsafe with it. When we're in this awareness phase and we're breaking patterns, we need to truly love ourselves through it. Speak to our nervous system, do somatic practices, breathing and shaking and quite frankly, just lying on the floor and telling yourself that you're actually really safe in this moment, doing inner child work. That's so important as well. So with my work, when I work with clients, we go so deep into this, but especially because I have had such serious trauma that I couldn't have done anything surface level. I had to go deeper, especially to create a transformation where I was able to actually marry this man that I brought in. In the past, I've attracted the man that I wanted, and then I freaked out and ran away from him because I didn't actually feel safe to hold and to embody that frequency. So, this awareness stage can get a little bit dragged out because we just have a lot of patterns in that area. I gave the example earlier of getting the job in 6 months. I did believe I could do that because I've done that before. I didn't have like a huge amount of trauma associated to that. I was given a praise for being quite good at school and things. It was not like a huge internal battle to get that job and to be healthy for that amount of time. But in order to get the love that I haven't received ever, that started to press on like daddy wounds and things like that. So that's why it takes longer. You collapse the time by finding those things quicker. So that's why being in, groups and places like that and investing in support is so beneficial because you can collapse time. Number 4 is shedding. You've gotten aware of the pattern, right? You know what you shouldn't be doing, and now you're actually going to stop doing it. And this is not from force or control either. This is a very embodied approach to stop doing it. So you're going to be setting boundaries with yourself. You are going to be setting boundaries with others to stop that thing. But it's also, oh, that thought I keep having, that's from a younger version of me, or that's my old self. And what happens here as well, it really is the death of your old self. And your old self can really kick off, especially when that transformation is really, really big. So when I went full time in my business, my old self was not happy. It was like, well, how the hell are we earning money each month? What are you doing? And it really freaked out. I had a lot of unsafety in my body. I was freaking out all of the time. I had really limiting self-belief. I was, working on things, but oh my God, it wasn't getting me anywhere. And that's because what was happening here was that like that old self fear was so intense and it was trying to pull me back. So it was like, get a normal job, woman. What are you doing? What I had to do is just what I mentioned in the awareness phases. I had to work with my nervous system daily so it would feel safe in this new job that I had created. I had to really go hard on the beliefs, and I had to really work on like mothering and fathering myself in the transition. And that's really important because this is where people get stuck. This shedding process is so uncomfortable. The mind is going absolutely crazy about why this cannot happen. Your body will stop you as well. I'd get sick. I'd have my back went. My body and my mind was really trying to pull me back into the old. So you just want to have total awareness for that. You want to be doing nervous system practices, somatic practices. You want to be talking to yourself as like you're your coach, a really supportive mother, but also you're going to call out your shit. You're not going to just be like, oh, you know what? Just relax for the whole day. You're changing your neuro patterns or something. You don't want to be like that, but you don't want to be like pushy and controlling either. And it's really this balance of healthy mother and father. I always use this example of the empowerment triangle. So instead of the drama triangle, so a lot of us, especially when you've had a lot of trauma, as part of this work, you are going to be shedding your ancestral trauma, you're going to be shedding your inner child stuff, clearing out scarcity programming from the world, from society, because otherwise everybody would be doing these type of things. And when you're doing that, it's a lot. So you got to support your body. So the empowerment triangle is that you become the healthy mother, more of a coach energy to yourself, and you become the healthy father, which is structures and routines and devoted to this new way of being. And you are not going to take your crap when you're like, okay, well, I'm just really, really tired and I can't really do this thing, because you want that energy to really allow you to shed and to embody the new, which takes me on to number 5. So this step is about the embodiment of the new. So this is the old self is kind of gone. You're really embodying the new in your body, if that makes sense. So when you've had a lot of trauma, being in your body can be hard. I was able to make six figures in my first year of business because I was doing so much mind stuff and I was doing some nervous system work. I was doing some tapping and things like that. But basically, what was happening though is that I was ignoring the amount of unsafety that I felt in my body for literally getting paid money for me being myself. And I was kind of just ignoring that. So that meant I was able to embody and get six figures, but I actually wasn't able to hold on to the six figures. I spent it quicker than I made it. And that's because it didn't feel safe in the body. And this is why embodiment is such an important stage of the process. You want to celebrate anything that's happening, and you also want to remind your body that you're safe in receiving as well, using a nervous system practice, even looking around you and showing yourself with all of your senses that you are safe. So that's why I wasn't able to hold the money because I hadn't done that piece yet. So whenever I'm working with clients, I'm like, in the vision, how do you feel? And then noticing how in life you don't feel that feeling because it's showing you your resistance to feeling that way. So that unconditional love, for that unconditional worthiness and safety and feeling secure and feeling truly loved for who you are, because it's pointing to some more shedding, some more ancestral trauma that you need to let go of, some more inner child work that you need to do. And with all of my work, I go super deep with this work with clients because it's so incredibly important. What I would say as well is people get stuck here because they don't want to get into the body. So they might be doing some stuff, some action taking, removing some things, but they're not embodying the frequency of the future that they desire. And the other thing as well, often I can see people at this stage is their desire is still on a pedestal and they're delaying happiness, joy, peace for when they receive the thing. And that's not the vibe. Because when you are doing that, you are still chasing something out externally, you are not aligned, it won't happen. Or if it does, it's not going to hang around for a while like mine did. So, this is so important because if it's not happening, that's great. It's just feedback. So this is like really important to review and be like, okay, this is still not happening. So what am I aligned in my mind? Am I aligned in my body? Am I aligned emotionally? Is my nervous system feeling safe? Am I feeling energetically? When I work with clients, we do a lot of chakra work as well. I'll do a video about that soon. And we will really look at each one and kind of be like, okay, whereas root is very much about inner child safety, what's going on there. If it's sacral, it's the worthiness piece, what's going on there. It's because this work as well, when we're going for a higher timeline and we're going for even the highest timeline, we are bringing ourselves into wholeness because we are healing the parts of us that don't feel worthy of love. And that's why this is such an amazing, beautiful process. And it doesn't have to be getting the thing. You can enjoy the journey and enjoy the process of it. And in fact, when you do that, you have way better results. So people that don't get the results, they are kind of really stuck in the pining for the thing and they're missing out on life. I'm calling in expansion right now. So I'm always tuning in to how much love is here now, how much peace is here now, how great my life is now. And I did the same when years ago, life wasn't where I wanted it to be and money was bad and, all those kind of things. And these things can happen so quickly the more and more you're aligned. So I have a wealth activation guide that you can download for free, and I'll put that in the notes. And that goes through the whole embodiment process for mental, emotional, all of the things. And I also have an emotional mastery guide to raise your vibration. So these are completely free and you can find them in the show notes. At the moment, I am doing 90-minute one-to-ones with clients. I have a very few numbers on Thursdays at the moment, and you can book in with me and I will actually go through like how you can self-actualize these results that you desire. I have other cool things coming as well. So do listen out for future videos, but you absolutely can do this. Don't listen to the stories of my childhood. This isn't possible for me. This is possible for all of us. This is us stepping into the energy of conscious creation. This is deeper than manifestation, even because you are being somebody that is so aligned with a higher frequency because you are aligned with that feeling that you want to feel. And life starts to get so much better. And I wanted to share as well what I've been working on lately, scaling my business and scaling my family. Now, it's taken me some years because I've had a lot of layers of trauma that I had to address. And like I said earlier, I could have collapsed time if I found out those things sooner. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer because the body, the inner child, is not quite ready to face the thing. And I had so much of it. I had to kind of face in layers. But I don't see that as a bad thing. I have such an incredible life because of all of the realizations I have. And this is all part of the becoming. So these lessons that I've had or these setbacks, they have taught me so much about me, and I'm more of a whole person. I'm more of a healthier person. I'm becoming a better leader, a bit better mother because of it. This is when you got to trust in the divine timing of things. And this has taken longer than the first time, which I went this deep, which was to calling my husband. It's gone much deeper to in order to have children and in order to manifest the next vision I have for my business. But it's been so amazing because I've basically found in this process steps that I now share with clients. Like I have a program called Overflow, which is very for the highest level leadership. So this is for people that are visionaries, change makers, light workers who want to change people's lives and make really good money from it. And they want to not work too much or, have time and space. So this is really calling in that higher timeline. That's why I called it Overflow, because I take them through the 12-step process that I have been going through these years. That is the bigger reason why it's taken longer. I had lessons that nobody else could show me because I had to find them for myself. And that was part of the bigger soul journey. So some things take longer and you have to trust in that because you don't even know why they are. And there's a bigger part to that. And like discovering this work, and I'm writing a book now about it as well. And it's because it's been so life-changing for me. And that's before the things have even arrived. That's because I feel the first time in my life a level of peace that I've never been able to embody because I've been able to go deep with these layers through these lessons that I've learned. And when I went through a journey where it took a tiny bit longer to get my husband, that taught me a load of steps, which was my first course, which is called Heal Your Inner Child. There is a whole thing that your soul is doing behind the scenes, and that you can't even comprehend right now. And that's why trust is such an important part of the process too. And I totally get that that is difficult because of what you've been through and, kind of feeling like God's forgotten about you or anything like that. And I've definitely been there and I've had dark moments like that. But then the more and more you lean into taking care of yourself and feeling good in the present, then you start to see a bigger picture of it all because you're not in a contracted state with your nervous system. And it's such a beautiful journey. You really can create whatever you like as long as it's aligned, I said before, with your higher self, with your soul. And if you need any support at all, book a call. I've got those free resources for you and some programs that can help. And yeah, have the most amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.